Replacing the speaker in a York JCB-861.
Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. So I've got a York JCB-861 that I'm in the process of repairing and getting back to some kind of full working order. It came to me with, apart from that cracked core in the transmitter power amplifier section, it also came to me with a open circuit loudspeaker. Now I can grab that off the bench here, which is a bit cluttered because there's millions of projects going on at once, and I've just not had time to deal with any of them because I've been working, and I'm going to have to work more very soon, as soon as I get my car back. It's failed its MOT at the time of recording this. Not great. Track rod end, hole in the exhaust, a couple of other things that need looking at, a couple of advisories as well. So it needs to be done. So I tried repairing the speaker thinking that the open circuit was caused by this, but I'll just bring it into shot on the correct camera. So I've got two cameras, as you can tell. This is part of my new dual camera setup. Anyway, I tried resoldering that wire back onto there. That didn't work. To fix this speaker, this is the original speaker out of that radio. So that is scrap. So from Amazon, which I've just had delivered in the last few moments at time of filming, I bought a couple of these. These are 8 ohm loudspeakers. Now this one they don't have markings on them, but they are definitely 8 ohm. And now this one's lost some of its markings as well, but they are 8 ohm. So what my plan of action is to remove the tags from this speaker, which is going to be a lot of fun, and use them to build an adapter to allow it to connect into the York, using no modifications to the York JCB-861 at all, because I don't want to modify that radio. In fact, I want to use that radio as is, no modifications, and also I want to try and set it on. Now I can't remove the tag strip from this speaker readily, so I'd probably have to cut that off. So I'm going to have to go off camera and try and cut that off, and unless I can bend it upwards. Yes, I can. So, because this speaker's knackered anyway, it doesn't matter. It's just being scrapped. So I just pull the tag off. So I've got one tag. I'll do the same on the other tag because the speaker's scrap anyway. So there's no point trying to repair an open circuit speaker because it could well be the coil itself that's gone open circuit. So that's got me two tags off. So I did need to stop the camera in the end to try and cut them off. So that speaker will go on the floor. It was supposed to go on just on top of a breadboard that's to one side, but it's gone on the floor, so it's kind of rolled on the floor. So to build a very short adapter, what I'm going to need to do is I'm going to need to solder on a couple of wires, very short as I can get them, onto those two tag strips, and then we'll connect those tag strips up into the radio, which is on the other side of the room. It's actually just over there, just out of shot of that camera, and we can then go from there, and hopefully, with a bit of luck, we'll have an internal speaker in that York radio. I'm waiting on some screws to arrive from Knights. They haven't shipped them yet, and time is pressing on. I do kind of need them to ship those screws to me pretty much ASAP. So let's get this repair done. So I'll just pause whilst I sort out my soldering iron sponge. It needs water on it. Just move the microphone slightly out of the way there, so we can do the soldering now. I've got a cheap Chinese soldering iron, and in this house we use lead solder. We don't use that lead-free rubbish, only lead solder. So I'm going to have a look at these tag boards and see if I'm going to need to tin them. I probably am. This red one will be for the positive side, so I will check the radio to see which side's positive and which side's negative. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put that into the helping hands, because I can't hold that, the soldering iron and the solder at the same time. I'm not Big Clive. Yeah, I wish I could solder as well as he can, but, you know, it takes practice. So I'm going to just tin that with a bit of solder. It'll also get rid of the old wire on there. Oh, that's a lot of smoky stuff. You might not have been able to see that, so I might bring that in a bit further. There is a ball of solder on that now. Still got the little straggly bit of the original wire off the speaker, but that's fine. So I'll repeat that with the one for the other side, the one for the negative side. The speakers themselves here will be marked, and I'm not going to try soldering them directly to the speaker. And I've tested these speakers for size. They do fit the case, they are the right size. Whether they'll work sufficiently is a different matter. Just tin it with solder. Oop. It's kind of a big ball of solder just gone on there. Didn't want to take very well. So hopefully it won't result in too much of a dry joint. And now I've done that, I just need a bit of wire, not too much and not too thick. And my snips aren't in here at the moment. I was using them for something I shouldn't be using them for, so I'll use this pair of wire strippers. So I don't want it too long. I'd say that should do it. I'm going to have to try and strip these now. I don't know where my automatic wire stripper is at the time of filming. That seems to have eluded me, so I'm going to try and be very careful with this. There we go. That has worked. Same on the other end. You should be able to see me do this on the other camera, because this is part of my new way of doing videos now. 2 cameras, if I can get away with it at home rather than one. I have a cheap Chinese mixing desk that I got from Amazon some time ago. It's called Dippo Sheng U6. I've not been able to find it on Amazon since, so I think it's discontinued. So if you are after one of those, then you might not be able to get it anymore. So I'll just take the positive side out, so I can put the negative wire into there, so I can tin. I need to tin both ends. I also need to tin one of them speakers as well. But I think we might get away with just putting the tinned wire through the hole and soldering it. There we go. One end. Not sure if you're seeing it on the other camera. And other end. There we go. So that's the negative wire ready to go on to just there. I just need to reflow it really. So if I just turn that round so it's facing the other way, if there's any, it won't work like that. I'll have to put the tag into the clamp there, so that's probably going to sink a lot of the heat away, but that's okay, it'll be fine. Let's see if I can flow that onto there. Has it actually worked? So that's the negative side done. So that's now ready to go onto one of those speakers. And then we just need the positive side, because I've got red wire, very similar to that, which I'm not immediately seeing, but I do need to find that. So I can actually use it. So I think I might have to just pause momentarily whilst I look for that. Unless I put it underneath the lid of the York, which is entirely possible, because I did have it the other day. Well, I did see it the other day. Looks like I might have to look for the wire, so just bear with me. Right, I found it. It was under the desk. Microphone's just strapped to one side to bring it back in, so it's actually picking up my voice properly and it doesn't sound too boomy and echoey. Same sort of gauge wire. It doesn't have to be anything particularly thick, as long as it's just kept as short as possible. So I'll just do the same thing I did before, which was use these strippers, which don't have an adjustment position in them, and same sort of length, not too long, trying to keep it as short as possible, so I don't want it too long, and that's about the length we've gone for, so I had to cut that off camera. Let's focus back down there somewhere. Are you going to focus back down there? You are, yes. Ooh. I might have to just tap the screen to get rid of something that's just popped up on the screen of this one. So we've got two cameras rolling for this. So this one should be the Oppo A72, and the one filming me looking at my face is the Oppo Find X5 Lite. Right. And in my pocket there's a Google Pixel 8a, which I filmed a short on when I was in Richmond picking up my prescription. Because I'm still able to get to Richmond, I still have a car, but it's not mine. It belongs to the garage, so I can't actually work. Because I'm not insured to work. And I'm a bit wary about taking my friend to another car boot sale with that car, because my friend has asked, and I don't want to risk scratching that car up because it's not mine. If anyone's interested in what car it is, it's a Toyota Aygo X, and it's got quite a few things on it that I'm not particularly keen on when driving, and also that probably wouldn't bode well from a ham standpoint anyway. It's got like radar guided cruise control and all sorts. Anyway, back to this subject. So we're going to tin this wire, because that will make life a bit easier. I'm not going to use both those speakers for this, obviously, because it's a CB radio, it only has one speaker in it. I'm just being told that this one here has only got 20% battery in it now. But that should be fine. Just try not to rustle the microphone too much, because notice how close my arm is to that. Right, so what I'm going to do next is I'm going to take that out of there, and we're going to put the positive side, which is this one, I think. Yeah, that was the one marked with a red band, so that's positive. In here. And I'm going to reflow that. There we go. Job done. Next job. Connect that to a speaker. And I only need one speaker, so I'll put one to one side. I'll put the link in the video description about where I got them speakers from. It is an Amazon link, so I'm not going to get any money for that, because I'm not an Amazon affiliate or anything. I'm going to just shorten that. And where's the other one? It shouldn't be too far away. I'm not seeing it immediately. You guys might have spotted it before I have, but I'm certainly not seeing it. But it's one of those things that's decided to escape from me. It is one of the drawbacks of having a slightly cluttered bench. But that's just me. I do loads of projects at once and then have to put the projects down because I've got to work. But I can't work today, so yeah, these things happen. So we'll get the positive one wired in anyway. So what we're going to need to do is, here's a speaker. It's just an 8 ohm speaker, it's nothing special. Going to have to do this off camera, but I'm going to try and push the wire through the hole. It's quite fiddly. There we go. I'll put the speaker into the helping hand. I think I get a helping hand there. I'm trying not to obviously damage the speaker cone because I don't want to do that. No, that's not going to work. I might have to put it. I can't even put it in the vice because that will damage the speaker cone. So I'm just going to pull that back a little. Just going to have to try this and hope it doesn't fall off when I try and solder it. Because that's not going to go well, is it? So I'll grab a tube of solder. It doesn't matter which one I grab because it's all the same solder. This it's lead solder, so I need to focus back down there as well on this camera. So it's lead solder, Duratool branded. It's not this stuff you get from like CPC in the UK. I got this from a company called Canny Components at a rally. Can't remember which rally. I know I got some of it at Blackpool, and I think I got some of it at Boburn maybe a year or two ago. I just haven't used all of it, and I prefer it over lead-free solder because anyone who knows anything about electronics will know lead-free solder is horrendous. Okay, so that's now on. The speakers just say at the bottom of the screen. Let's see if I can bring it up. There we go. So that's now attached to that. So I'll just give that a quick wipe and then put that there. I think I might be better off using the other tube of solder for that because, well, this tube's all well and good. There isn't a lot left in that. There isn't a lot left in that one either. So, in fact, there's not a lot left in any of them. I think I've been using quite a fair bit. That one's nearly empty. That one. I think that one's almost... Oh, no, that one's still got a fair bit in it. That one will do. So we'll use that. We'll use this one. So that's the solder. That's the brand of it. 6040 tin lead solder. People say we shouldn't use it. It's poisonous. That kind of stuff. It's not poisonous. You don't eat solder. So all I have to do next is put the negative side on. I've looked because I've spotted that the audio feed to the camera is actually going across the desk. That's not ideal, but it's all connected. I haven't burnt through it. Those leads are just aux leads for your car stereo solid B&M. So it's just cheap way of doing it. I think it was £5 each for those. So I'm just seeing if I find the negative one of these because I did have it. I'm just checking I haven't put it under anything. Perils of filming. I'm just also checking it hasn't dropped on the floor as well. I don't see it on the floor. That's good to know. So I don't think it's dropped down there. I'll just stop and have a look for that. Just bear with me. That actually did land on the floor. So I'm just going to grab the speaker again. I'm not going to solder it over the case for the York because that would not be ideal. And we're going to do the same thing again with that. And it doesn't matter if it's touching the wire inside the back of the speaker there. So that's kind of balanced in there now. So I'll just put it down here. I'm going to move that if I can. Well, there's no way I can because the soldering iron cable's in the way. So I'm going to try and move it some way. It's out of the way. There we go. What we're going to do is I'm going to bring that speaker in. You can see me solder the other one to there. Because the idea is that will then connect into the radio, which is the next bit I'm going to show you. And we're going to see if it works. And hopefully that will be a yes. I think the power supply is off at the moment. Yes, it is. I'll make sure it's back on ready for when we test the speaker to see if it works. I'll have to meter the radio out to find out which one of those two wires is the negative, but because it's just one speaker it won't matter too much. Okay, it's in. So that's now done. So the next job before I put it into the case is to test it. So I'm not sure if the power cable for that radio is going to reach, but we'll soon find out. So I'm just going to grab the radio and we're going to connect the speaker and we're going to test it. Well, I'll meter out the speaker wires first to find out which one's actually going to ground. And I will have to go get my multimeter because it's not actually in here. There is one in the hallway that I've fished out my car before I took it for its MOT. So I did manage to salvage that. Okay, so I've got the meter in. I'll just maybe prop it up a bit so you can see it on that. There we go, that's better. So the meter's now in. It's my favourite one that's supposed to have two crock clips on it, but one of them has in fact come off as I've fished it out of the car. But that's okay for my purposes because we can first check the speaker is indeed 8 ohms. I've got, because this will show up if it's 8 ohms and in circuit. It's not making a very good contact. Try again. Yeah, that's fine. Not making a very good contact. So I've grabbed the radio. The microphone is plugged into it, but also connected to the test equipment. But the meter and dummy load aren't in line there in the other room. The power cable is connected to that, so I will disconnect that as well. The microphone is also connected, but I will leave that on. It will be easier for the next part. So this is the York JCB-861 in question. I'm just trying to do things. Yeah, so it's upside down, because obviously the part we're looking for is the green and the yellow wires at the back there. So I'll, without walloping the tripod, that would be good. Let's move the meter out of the way. Everything's gone blurry on that camera, so let's focus down on that. And I'll bring the meter back in. So look at these two green and yellow wires at the back. Those two wires are our speaker wires. One of them goes to ground, one of them goes to the audio IC. And I can get a ground, normally how you would do it, from there. Now that's ground on this radio. Normally I would use that and would Richard at UKFM CB radio servicing to get a ground reference when measuring the VCO voltages. In fact, any part of this radio. I'm not sure if this is going to work properly with this like this. So I'll need to put that onto continuity, which is that one there. I'll grab the green wire first, because I was going to say it's safe to assume that's ground. So green wire appears to be the negative. Yellow wire, there should be no continuity there unless there's a short circuit. Yeah, I would hazard to guess the green one's ground, because the green one was actually conducting a bit easier than it. Oh, careful! I want to break it. Yeah, can't get the copper in there now. So I don't have continuity in there at the moment. I'm just going to grab something off the edge of the desk there before it falls. There we go. I'll just strip some of that insulation back on this, unfortunately. If the clip hadn't broke off, which it did, I wouldn't be in this situation, would I? There we go. A very thin, horrid wire in that. But that's the best I can do. So we're still on ground. I'm just going to poke that in there. So that'll be ground. If I poke it in here, it might peep up, but then it'll probably just show components in the way. Yeah, it does. Okay. So now we know the green one is the negative. We connect the negative side to that. So I'm going to disconnect that now because we don't need the meter anymore, because it's proven its purpose. And we're now going to connect this speaker up and test it. So So negative is that one. Positive is that one. That's now all connected up. So the next thing I need to do is plug into the power supply and turn the power on and see if it works. So I'll just pause whilst I do that. Okay, so moment of truth. This top camera here is actually flaring out a bit because the window's like literally there and the sunlight shining in. Well, actually I wouldn't say it was the sun, but you know, you get what I mean. So that's slightly annoying. Not sure if I can drop the exposure on that, but we'll leave it. Because the main bit you want to be interested in is that speaker there. You can see where I'm pointing on the other camera. And this radio, which is now connected to that power supply. So it's the moment of truth. Does it work? That's a very resounding yes. It does work. I'm pleased with that. I'm very pleased. So all I've got to do now is put it back into the lid. So that's the next bit we shall do. I'll grab the lid off the desk and I will need to make sure the radio is turned off before I do this, and also, just for safety, the power supply, because I don't want to have anything short out on me, so let's make sure. And then I'll just find a suitable screwdriver to loosen off the two or three little metal brass things that hold the speaker in place. I've got to make sure they're all loosened off. One of them isn't. I might be able to loosen it. I'm just doing that off camera, so well, it's actually on camera if you're looking at my camera facing me, which is flaring out quite badly. That's not great. I'm still getting used to this two camera setup thing because this is all new to me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to disconnect the speaker. Now we know which one it is for each side. So I'll disconnect the yellow one from that, which is the positive, the green one from the negative, and I shall put it into the lid. Because that's what we need to do. We need to put it into the lid. I mean, I would have liked to have got some proper spade terminals from Halfords today while I was in Northallerton. But even though I drove past Halfords, I didn't get a chance to stop in there, and you know, things were not quite how I would have liked them, as you will know. So I already mentioned it already. My car failed its MOT, which is not ideal at all. So the speaker fits. I've just got to sort these clamps out. I'll show you the clamps down here. So these three clamps here, they just need sorting out so that they're on properly. So they're clamping the speaker in. I might actually just turn it round so the wiring's at the back, towards the back of the radio rather than towards the front of the radio. And hopefully that will be a much better CB radio than what it was when I first got hold of it. So I'm just seeing if I can find the screwdriver. I did have the screwdriver. Just bear with me. Okay, so I've got the screwdriver, so I'm going to tighten up the screws on this. So, well, let's see, first things first, let's see if I can get that to be the correct way round for the speaker. This is actually quite a low profile speaker compared to the original, I think. Might need to just loosen that off a tiny bit more. Yeah, that one's not playing ball. Oop. Also got to be careful I don't cut myself on them because I think they might have to be a bit sharp. Yeah, it never plays ball when you want it to, does it? Never plays ball at all. Also, I think this screwdriver might be a bit small for these screws. Yeah, I think they are. Yeah, I think these screws, the screwdriver might actually be a bit small for these screws. I might need to rotate that bottom one and then put the speaker in over that. And the second one's rotated round fine. Just that third one that I think might need some fiddling. Yeah, the third one's screwed all the way down, so I don't think it's going to... I know, it's under the speaker. So I've got the little brass strips there around the speaker. I've got the speaker terminals facing the top. I'll just rotate that around so it's a little bit more how I'd like it. Make sure it's straight as it's going to get. That looks good, apart from maybe this, but that's going to get screwed down. So I've got to screw it down. I might change the screws actually, because it's not looking like the screws want to turn very well. That one doesn't want to. That one's jammed on there, so let's try the second one over here. Like I say, I think this screwdriver might be the wrong screwdriver for this. These also, I think, had some thread lock on them as well, so it makes it a little harder to do, so I'm having to do it, as you can see, like that. So I don't think the manufacturer expected you to change the speaker. Looks like it's had red thread lock on it, and that stuff is usually non-re-enterable. So I got one tag on. It looks like I've got this one on. Like I say, I've got some screws on their way from night, so because I'm going to put fresh screws in this rig anyway, make it look even tidier than what it is. So 2 on. See if I can get 3 on. That'd be good. Yeah, it's slightly uncomfortable. Got it. Yeah, I do think that screwdriver is the wrong screwdriver for those screws. That's not quite how I want it. It's a bit crooked. I'll show you actually. Yeah, that's not quite how I want that. That's slightly crooked. It's holding the speaker in, but it's not how I would want it. I'm going to see if I can pack that off and then turn it again. So it's still not quite conforming to how I want it. Much better. That top one looks a bit off, but the speaker's in. So I'll just do that. Obviously I don't want the speaker things to short against the case, and that'll need to be dealt with. And I'm thinking, because I can get heat shrink over it, I'll put some heat shrink over that. So I'll just pause whilst I put heat shrink on that. Right, I'm back, and that's all heat shrunk. So I need to gain access to the terminal on that. So I've got my snips now, so I'm going to refocus back down there so you're not looking at a blurry screen. On this one, doesn't really need too much trimming. I think I'll just trim the end off there. There we go. And this one just needs me to be able to access the terminal underneath, which I'm not seeing where that is, so but to get at it I'm just going to see if I can just nibble into it without cutting that terminal off. So I've got to make sure I don't cut the terminal off, make sure I can actually see where it is. So I've split it. So I wonder if I can split it down the side there. There we go. Getting somewhere. It's just so I've got access to the terminal, but obviously keeping the rest of the thing covered up. There's the terminal now, I can see it. So I'll just make sure I'm going to nibble a bit more off, I think. As long as the receptacle fits in there, that's okay. Don't want it to be in a way that it won't. This is just to stop the thing from shorting against anything. That's all this is for. Rather than obviously have it short out and possibly cause damage to the audio IC, which I don't want to do. It's a bit tricky because obviously don't want to damage the connector, especially after I've spent so much time soldering it on. See if that actually fits. And that's the positive one, so I will need to plug the yellow one onto that. See if it fits. If it does, it does. If not, I'll just nibble a bit more of that off. It's not making a good enough contact for my liking. So let's. Oh. Right, I've lost one camera. I've lost one camera, which I shouldn't have done. This camera's died. So we're now just down to one camera, which is slightly annoying. That camera shouldn't have died. There was 20% in it, and it should have lasted a bit longer. So obviously that's not measuring the battery correctly. And it may have corrupted the video files, which is slightly annoying. So... but we'll see when I come to edit it at the end. I didn't even realise it had gone off. Don't know how long ago it went off, but it went off. But that's okay, because I can edit that, because I can edit it up so that what we're seeing is, but I want to actually show the finished result, so I will have to get that camera powered back up. So I'll get it powered back up, and obviously I've got to work out how I'm going to synchronise that again. So I can show you the finished result, because I want to show you the finished result. I don't want you to not see the finished result. So I'll just finish trimming off this heat shrink and I'll get the other camera back up. Hopefully, bit of luck, you will get to see the finished result. Because I want to show you me actually connecting it back up to the radio and everything. How long have I been recording for now? Apparently an hour. But I don't think I've been doing the video for that length of time. I think that's also involving things that have been cut out. So it's not going to be an hour long. Shouldn't think. Let's see if I can just trim this back a little just to make sure that both receptacles fit. Again, I've got to be very careful here. Well, I've got to also be careful I'm not going to stab my fingers. That should be okay. Right, I'll get the other camera back up and we'll get that test fitted. Rightio, I've got the second camera back up and running now, in a fashion, and now I've got that speaker mounted and the heat shrink done. Let's see how it all fits, and hopefully the camera won't switch off again. It is connected to a charger. It's connected to the charger for that one, which will charge that at about the same sort of rate as its supply charger will do. So let's connect things up. So green goes over here. Click. Let's say it does. And then that one. I'd say it does. Actually, that's not fitting at all. Try that again. Seems to fit. Is I'm going to move the microphone lead out of the way, move that lead out of the way, and make sure the wires are actually inside the radio. That'll be a good start. And then power up the radio. Well, when I turn the power supply on. And there we have it. And now more or less ready to go radio. So working speaker. The microphone works, I know that. Transmitter is about 4 watts on that. There's no other issues I know of on it, and it's ready to, well, transmit another day. I've just got to double check the deviation on it, and that'll be good to go once I get the screws from Knights. They haven't, like I said, they haven't shipped those yet, so I'm just waiting for them to be shipped to me. And yeah, this is a good way to fill in an evening in which I cannot work whilst I do not have my car. And this is the first attempt at using my multi-camera setup. So hopefully, all being well, this will have come out alright once I've done the editing. It's going to take a while to do that, so I'm going to have to sit down with a cup of tea, put it all together, and hopefully we'll have a nice shiny edited video. Anyway, hope that was interesting. Wasn't one I was expecting to do, but I will pop a link to these speakers. I'll just bring the speaker back in. So that's the speaker there. I'll show you it on this camera down here. So it's these kind of speakers here. You can just see the reflection of the room off that, and I'll show you on this camera as well. That's the speaker there. So it focuses on the speaker and then immediately cuts the exposure down. So that's where the exposure I would have liked it to have been, but it just didn't happen. It's just yo-yoing up and down. So got to play with that a bit. Anyway, we get there in the end. 7.3 for now. I'll catch you in the next one, and I'll get this lot put together. Bring that one back into focus. It's gone out of focus. So that's me replacing the speaker, in a sense, in that York JCB-861. And I'm quite pleased with the result.